Presented by the 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome to Toronto. It's a beautiful evening here in Toronto. This will be the final game of this 7-game homestand for the Blue Jays, and they had a laugher yesterday on Canada Day. They won 11-2 and pounded out 5 home runs. Let's take a look at John Farrell's lineup for the Boston Red Sox. Top of the order is Mookie Betts, and he's been red hot over his last 18 games, hitting nearly 400 with 14 extra base hits and 10 RBIs. And then the newly acquired Alejandro De Aza. He's played with the Red Sox for about a month now, and he has been a great addition to this ball club. Riding a 7-game hit streak, they'll get their first look at 24-year-old Matt Boyd.
Got to figure out a way to get Diaz out. He's been very good for him. Matt Boyd will get ready for his second major league start. He was drafted by the Blue Jays in the 6th round just 2 years ago in 2013. Thought he pitched really well on his first major league start. He pitched into the 7th inning. He gave up 4 runs. 3 of them, though, were on home runs that were leading off the inning. 3 solo home runs. He did not walk a batter and had 7 strikeouts. He showed a lot of poise. He showed a lot of strikeability in that left arm. So gets a chance to face the Red Sox for the first time.
This will be a real test for Boyd because the Red Sox are among the most patient teams in all of baseball. They don't swing at a lot of pitches off the plate. Mookie Betts steps in, the center fielder. Starts things off. Here's the first pitch of a ball game, and it's in there for a strike, and we are underway.
You know, one other thing about the Red Sox, this is their first look at Matt Boyd. So with all those veteran hitters, you know that you're going to see a lot of first pitch takes by the Red Sox, just trying to work him over and see what he features.
What we saw from Boyd his first time out is an ability to throw strikes with all of his pitches. He didn't walk a batter and struck out 7. Mookie Betts is on fire. An 0-2 curveball. He rips to left.
This Boston Red Sox team can hit the breaking ball. They have the best average in the American League hitting the off-speed pitch, 251. The Major League average is 229. This team is number 1 in the American League. And Mookie Betts is right at the top of the list. Last 13 games versus Toronto, over 400 with 14 runs scored.
They just haven't been able to keep him off the bases. Hit a home run in his final at bat to extend that hit streak, says Brock Holt. He did not play in the game yesterday. Holt has played every inning of every game since June 5th until he got that off day yesterday on the 1st of July. That has taken a toll on him. He's just 4 for his last 32. Mookie Betts wants to draw a throw at first. He's taken a huge lead at first. He wants to see what Matt Boyd features as a pickoff move.
That's all that is right over there, that huge lead at first base. He's almost baiting Matt Boyd to throw over there. It's called a one-way lead in baseball. You get out there, and the first move you see from the pitcher, you move back towards first base. You want him to throw over there. This is where a good step-off move would be beneficial.
Well, Betts got what he wanted. He got to see the move from Matt Boyd. Mookie Betts almost has both feet on the artificial surface, off the dirt completely. Betts is 12 for 15 in stolen bases this season.
I haven't seen that, where a player has 2 feet off that dirt area in the cutoff in years. And he goes back standing up.
The biggest lead I ever saw going back to the start of my career was Tommy Harper. He played for the Red Sox for a while, but he literally would be so far off, you say there's no way he can get back, and he always did. That's a big lead right there. A slide step, and it's outside. 1-2 to Brock Holt.
Joe Morgan used to get a big lead over at first base also, 2 feet on the carpet, and you're right, a step and a dive, and they'd always be able to get back. Back then they would really study the pitchers and really have an idea what those pitchers' moves were to home plate and back to first base.
Holt hits it into the seats down the left side. Brock Holt has been a super utility player for Boston. Tonight he makes his 11th start at second base. He's made 3 starts at first, 6 at short, 6 in left, 2 in center and 16 in right. He plays all over.
Yeah, you see those super utility guys and you think, well, they can't hit. This guy can hit a little bit.
Breaking ball. That's going to get through the right side. Bautista comes in and Betts stops at second. Back-to-back base hits to start the game for Boston.
Well, one thing that the Red Sox have done is they've done their scouting report. And let's take a look at the scouting report on the first major league start for Matt Boyd. He'll use that fastball, and it's 91 to 92 miles an hour, 63% of the time. Slider, curveball, changeup. Those are his other pitches that he will use really at any time. Now, he's been beat a couple of times with the breaking ball. Let's see if they change that up just a little bit here against the Red Sox, because they obviously have been sitting on that breaking ball.
Xander Bogaerts drops back into the third spot with the return of Brock Holt into the shoot hole. Bogaerts yesterday was 1 for 4 with a double. He shows bunt and pulls the bat back. I don't think he's going to be bunting in this situation.
I think that was one of those fake bunts. Let me take a look at one of the pitchers' first pitch here just to see what he features. Just take a look at the ball coming out of his hand just a little bit, what the spin looks like.
Checked his swing. I mean, it looked like he was going to take a full cut, and he was able to check that swing. It's 2-0.
Looked like it was pretty close to the high strike to Xander Bogaerts. You can see that number 2 on pitch tracks. Looks like it was in the strike zone.
Fouls it straight back. Bogaerts has hit .300 this season against lefty pitchers like Matt Boyd. He has really developed quickly into a very good everyday shortstop.
He's got a quick bat. That's number 1. Number 2 is he really stays to his game plan, and his game plan is right back through the middle. Stay in the middle of the field. He gets in trouble where he starts to think about pulling the ball, and he can't do that.
There's a base hit to center field. Mookie Betts is around third. He's going to score. Holt stops at second, and Bogaerts has given the Red Sox a 1-0 lead. 3 straight singles for Boston.
There's the middle of the field right there for Xander Bogaerts, and he cashes in the game's first run.
Defensively, behind Matt Boyd, it's Valencia, Pilar, and Bautista from left to right in the outfield. The infield is Donaldson, Reyes, Travis, and Colabello at first, and Russell Martin back behind the plate makes his 62nd start of the season for Matt Boyd.
And with a lefty on the mound for the Boston Red Sox, an all-right-handed lineup for the Blue Jays. That means Chris Colabello is at first base, his 7th start at first base, 57 total chances, 52 putouts, no errors, 5 double plays for Chris over at first base.
This is David Ortiz. He wants to look at Matt Boyd as well. He shows bunt, and I know he's not bunting.
Hitters will do that from time to time, won't they? They'll square around to bunt just to see what the ball looks like coming out of that pitcher's hand.
Ortiz batting .120 against left-handed pitching this year. This is a very patient lineup. We talked about how the Red Sox a much different approach than what Boyd faced last time out against the Texas Rangers.
A little bit more of a free-swinging team, the Texas Rangers. This Boston Red Sox team, 2nd in the American League in pitches per at-bat. They'll work you over.
Ortiz drives this one deep to left. That's way back and gone. David Ortiz hits a 3-run home run in his first at-bat against Matt Boyd. That's his first home run of the season against the lefty pitcher. 4 straight hits for Boston to start this game.
2-strike hit by Betts, a 2-strike hit by Holt, an RBI single by Bogaerts, and now David Ortiz goes the other way. Doesn't do that very often, hit home runs, but he just loves this ballpark. And he loves the Blue Jay pitching. 58 home runs now in his career against the Blue Jays. That's number 1.
He just breaks a tie with Alex Rodriguez for the most home runs hit by the Blue Jays. That's 58, as Pat mentioned. for batters, 4-0 Boston. Hanley Ramirez. Matt Boyd now has given up 4 home runs in his first 2 big league games.
3 of them were solo home runs in that first game against the Texas Rangers, all leading off the inning. And now the big one right there by Ortiz.
Matt Boyd was drafted in the 6th round of the 2013 draft out of Oregon State. There's another home run. Hanley Ramirez has crushed this ball into the second deck in left. Back-to-back home runs for Boston here in the first.
Looked like a changeup right there. Something off speed. 16th home run of the season for Hanley Ramirez. And that's going to bring Pete Walker out to talk to his young starter.
A lot of good hitters in this Red Sox lineup, and they have jumped all over young Matt Boyd. 5 straight hits to start the game. Back-to-back home runs by Ortiz and Ramirez.
It is indeed a changeup. Look where that ball is. Catches a little bit too much of the plate. Ball looked like he wanted it to go down and away to the right-hander, but it just leaks over the middle of the plate. And a good hitter like Hanley Ramirez knows what to do with that.
This is the way the Blue Jays started in the first in yesterday's game. Blue Jays scored 5 runs in the bottom of the first. Red Sox have scored 5 here in the top tonight. Pablo Sandoval takes the first pitch, breaking ball. Oh, and 2.
Going to have to get that ball down. Right now, that ball is just up too much. Going to have to live on the corners. Change speeds. I like the fact that he threw a breaking ball first pitch.
Pete Walker talking with John Gibbons about how they might get through this ball game. Breaking ball, another base hit, hanging curveball, and Sandoval rips it into right.
You know what hurts about all this, Buck, is just 2 days ago, Marco Estrada was only able to go 2 to 3rd inning, and that really took its toll on the bullpen, where the long men got their work. Here's the curveball, the breaking ball, and again, that one is up. You can see Sandoval can follow that. He doesn't have to reach for it because it is up. But when you get a starter knocked out like that, it really takes a few days to get your bullpen back together.
That was on Tuesday against the Red Sox. Liam Hendricks starts to loosen up. Todd Redmond and Bo Schulz both pitched extended outings on Tuesday. Redmond threw 45 pitches, Schulz threw 31.
If that was spaced out just a little bit more, you could do that. But with that just happening a couple of days ago, it's tough for them to come back with just 1 day off. They might be called on again today.
That ball gets away from Russell Martin, and Sandoval will head to second. Been a rough start for the Blue Jays to this ball game. They're closing out their homestand. They're 3-3 on this homestand. David Ortiz, an opposite field 3-run home run. Hanley Ramirez right next to him. Went back to back. For Ramirez, his 16th. For Ortiz, his 14th. Still nobody out. Napoli, the 7th man to bat. All 6 have had hits. 3 singles to start the game, then a home run by Ortiz, home run by Ramirez, and a single by Sandoval. Way inside. Napoli will take ball 4. So John Gibbons reluctantly coming out of the dugout, and he's going to make a pitching change here. Matt Boyd in his second big league start did not record an out. His teammates come to the mound to give him some encouragement. A disappointing start for Matt Boyd for sure.
And you know that John Gibbons doesn't want to have to do that because he knows what it could do to his bullpen, but he has to. So Matt Boyd does not record an out in his second big league start. And Liam Hendricks will come in and try and get through this inning and go deep into this game.
The bullpen's going to be challenged tonight. Liam Hendricks will be the first out for the Blue Jays, and he'll face Alejandro De Aza, who's got a 7-game hit streak. Men, and all 7 reached base. 6 hits and a walk, and the Blue Jays trail 5-0
in a hole already. So it's up to Liam Hendricks and the rest of the bullpen now to keep the Boston Red Sox at bay. 29 games this year for Liam Hendricks, 2-0 with a 255 earned run average. The longest he has gone as a reliever was 6 innings, but that was 2 years ago when he was stretched out as a starter. You're going to have to clean this inning up right here.
Alejandro De Aza. He bunts it and bunts it foul. You know, there was a time when you had a 5-run lead, and if you bunted, it was thought to be a bad move, bad taste. Not anymore. Runs come in bunches, and of course the Blue Jays, they can score multiple runs anytime.
Yeah, it's only the first inning too. Remember the game in Boston, Fenway Park, after 3 innings? It was 8-1.
The Red Sox remember.
Sure. So that doesn't surprise me that he was thinking about punting.
There's a line drive. Kevin Pillar on a run. He's not going to get distance past him all the way to the wall. Sandoval's around third. He's going to score. Napoli is right behind him. The throw goes to third. De Aza ends up with a 2-run triple. That's the 6th triple of the season for De Aza, and the Red Sox are off and running.
Why bunt when you can hit this ball? And he has been a hot hitter. Just out of the reach of Kevin Pillar. And that ball goes all the way to the wall. By the time it's backed up by Danny Valencia, 2 more runs cross the plate. Those will be charged to Matt Boyd also.
This is Ryan Hannigan, just activated off the disabled list. Hannigan broke his hand in May. This is his first game since the 6th of May. He had 7 minor league appearances. He went 4 for 19 in his rehab. He was supposed to get here and play yesterday, but he didn't arrive until 11 a.m. John Farrell said, we're not going to rush you into the lineup. He had travel problems and had to spend the night in Philadelphia. Arrived early yesterday morning. Breaking ball, fouled off, 0-2. So Matt Boyd has an ugly line. He didn't get it out. He gives up 7 runs on 6 hits and walked about it. Hannigan, little flare, and Travis makes the catch on the pop-up, and the crowd acknowledging the first out of the ballgame.
It came on the 9th batter of the inning. The Blue Jays are playing the infield in. They cannot afford to give up another run. Liam Hendricks with a good pitch on the inner half. The 7 runs by the Red Sox ties their season high for runs in an inning.
Back to the top of the order. Mookie Betts has singled and scored already this inning. Oh, what a nice block by Martin. That saved a run for sure. Boy, this is a real test for the Blue Jays to be down this far this early, and Martin does a good job of getting a good position on that breaking ball.
Able to get that arm against his body, knock that ball down, keep it in front of him.
Been a long inning for the Blue Jays on defense. They remain in trying to save this run.
They did a ground ball right at somebody. Diaz with the speed. They might gamble right here to try and steal a run. Play contact with Mookie Betts. If he's thrown out at the plate, Betts will be at first base with the ability to steal a base and score.
Taking all the way, it's now 3-1. This is where you really have to dig down deep and make sure you maintain your focus. Betts fouls it off. Full count. Well, Pat, you mentioned it. The Blue Jays have been tested like this before, and that was a Friday night game in Boston when they were down 8-1. Came back and won that game, and that propelled them to sweep the Red Sox.
They also had a game here against Baltimore, I believe, where they were down big early, came back, tied the game, and actually went ahead before they lost. I believe that was the last homestand that the Blue Jays had. So John Gibbons had to do something just to stop the bleeding here in the first inning.
The Orioles scored 7 runs in the top of the second. The Blue Jays came right back in the bottom half of that inning and scored 6. And they tied it up in the third. Base hit. Mookie Betts is 2 for 2 in the first inning. He drives home Alejandro De Aza. 8-0 Boston.
They now have their highest runs in an inning this season. Infield in, you got to hope that a ground ball gets hit right at somebody, because on this turf it's going to get through quick. And that's exactly what happens. Base hit by Betts. He's had a big series.
Mookie had a home run yesterday in his final at bat. He had a 2-hit game on Tuesday. He had 2 hits, including a triple on Monday. Brock Holt. Strike 2. There goes Betts. Ball in the dirt. Mookie Betts stands up with a stolen base. That's his 13th.
Picked on the right pitch right there. Guessed breaking ball with 2 strikes. He had a shorter lead over at first base than what we saw earlier this inning, but he picked on the right pitch. It was a breaking ball in the dirt, so no chance to throw him out. He gets in there easily.
Hendricks kicks it and deflects it. Now they're going to call Betts out for obstruction. He came down there, and then now Farrell's going to come out and argue, but Donaldson was...
Here's the argument, Buck. You have to give the fielder a chance, an attempt to field the ball. And with Hendricks kicking at the ball, I think what John Farrell is saying is that was their attempt right there. That he had an attempt to try and catch the ball by kicking the ball. I don't know if this interference right here as Betts gets in the way of Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, that's an interesting development, but it looks like the Red Sox are going to lose the argument because the first defender is Hendricks, and he has an opportunity to make a play. And then you could see Donaldson had to go around the base runner Mookie Betts, but the umpire at third Phil Cuzzy calls Betts out as he interfered with Donaldson's ability to make a defensive play. Interesting.
Does kicking the ball constitute an attempt to try and field the ball? I mean, he obviously stuck his foot out there to try and knock it down. So, very interesting.
Yeah, that's one of those plays you don't see very often. And all of this in the first inning. It's called a fielder's choice, which it is, and Josh Donaldson is credited with an unassisted putout, 5 unassisted. Breaking ball, Reyes at short, goes to first. The inning is finally over. The Red Sox score 8 runs on 8 hits in the first. The Blue Jays got a lot of work to do. Tonight they trail 8-0 as they bat in the first inning. Jose Reyes top of the order, then Josh Donaldson, who's been a great hitter at home here at Rogers Center. .356 average. That's the second best home average in the American League. 14 home runs and 34 RBIs. And Russell Martin, he's done a good job against Boston this season. He's 11 for 34 against the Red Sox, and they've got to put something together quickly against Wade Miley.
Making his 16th start of the season, 9th on the road. He's twice faced the Blue Jays in his career. He's 0-2 with a .1057 earned run average. Last time, May the 8th here at Rogers Center. 6 innings. Gave up 8 hits, 4 runs, 2 home runs. One by Chris Colabello, one by Josh Donaldson. They're going to need the same here tonight to get back into this game.
Wade Miley is 28 years old. This is his first season with the Boston Red Sox. He was traded to Boston in December last year. There were 3 players. And that's the last thing John Farrell wanted to see. Ball 3 to the leadoff man.
This is where you say, okay, I've got an 8-0 lead. Here's the ball you got to hit to get on. No free passes tonight.
Reyes takes strike 2. It's a full count. Ground ball. Bogart's near second base, throws to first. Reyes is retired, went down. Let's take a look at the defense for Boston tonight. Anthony Ramirez back in left field for a second straight game. Mookie Betts, good-looking young center fielder. Alejandro Aza is making his 10th start in center, in right field. Pablo Sandoval, Xander Bogaerts, Brock Holt, and Mike Napoli around the infield. And Brian Hannigan making his 18th start.
Just off the disabled list, like you said, hurt May the 1st with a fractured right hand. 17 starts at catcher. They're 10-7 in his starts. His catcher's earned run average is .434.
Donaldson hits it off the end of the bat. He falls in the hole quickly. 0-2.
The Red Sox are going to carry 3 catchers now with Hannigan back. Sandy Leon and Blake Swihart also on the bench tonight.
Sandy Leon has become the personal catcher for Clay Buchholz, and he's really throwing the ball well right now. Outside. Miley is a former first-round pick of the Diamondbacks back in 2008. That's chopped off home plate, and Hannigan comes out behind the plate, makes a good play. 2 down.
Hannigan is a good defensive catcher. Calls a good game. That's why I wanted to mention his catcher's earned run average. Frames the ball well and then attacks the ball, anything out in front. Watch how quickly he gets out there and surrounds the ball, gets himself into foul territory, and then pushes himself into fair territory to keep that ball fair. And makes an accurate throw. Good play.
2 down for Jose Bautista. Jose hit a 2-run home run in the 2nd yesterday afternoon. It was his 34th career home run against the Red Sox. We mentioned that because that's the second most home runs by an active player against Boston. Alex Rodriguez has 54.
Alex Rodriguez has a lot of home runs
against everybody.
You mentioned the David Ortiz home run broke a tie with Alex Rodriguez for most home runs against the Blue Jays.
It's a broken bat pop into foul ground, and it'll fall. Bautista hit it right off the end of the bat. We have made so much about Josh Donaldson's quest to be the leader at third base on the All-Star team. Bautista's only 4th. He's just 1 spot out of starting, so you've got a few hours left to make some votes for Jose Bautista as well. 4 hours and 20 minutes left before the voting is over, so get online and vote for Jose Bautista and push him into that starting role.
His numbers are starting to look all-star worthy now, aren't they? Coming into this game, 16 home runs, 53 RBIs.
Full count. Breaking ball, 8-0 on a full count pitch.
First inning.
That's a little odd. So Bautista walks yet again. He leads the American League in walks. But we want to remind you, log online at BlueJays.com and vote for Donaldson, Bautista, Russell Martin. The voting ends tonight, 11:59.
Team will be announced on Sunday, won't it?
Yeah, the entire team will be announced on Sunday. Wade Miley, to me, looks like he's in a hurry. You know, you want to work quickly, but he seems to be rushed.
Rushed where you're a little bit out of sync, just a little bit. First batter, Jose Reyes, he went to 3-ball count. Donaldson went to a 3-ball count. Bautista, a 3-ball count.
They went in kind of show and got the scoring started yesterday with a 3-run home run in the first. It was one of 2 first-inning home runs the Blue Jays hit. Justin Smoke had a 2-run shot just 2 batters later. There's a fly ball to left. Hanley Ramirez coming over. The left fielder gets there, and the inning is over. Blue Jays will leave a base runner. We've played an inning at Rogers Center, 8-0 Boston.
By Matt Boyd, the thinking is, what are the Blue Jays going to do the next time his start comes around? Well, there was talk already that Daniel Norris was possibly going to come up to make a spot start to give the rest of the rotation an extra day's rest. After what's happened tonight, there's a possibility Norris could be the one taking Boyd's spot. Now, Alex Anthopoulos went to Buffalo last night to watch Norris pitch, and while the numbers on the board did not look good, he gave up 6 runs, 4 earned. Alex and John Gibbons both said today the numbers looked a lot worse than the way he pitched. They don't think it will have any bearing on whether or not he will come back up. So at this point, the odds are looking really good. We'll see Daniel Norris back up with the team during this road trip. Buck?
Thank you, Barry. I think it's just really interesting that you just really don't know what's going to happen. Marco Estrada had 2 beautiful starts, then he can't get out of the third. Now Daniel Norris had an encouraging outing his first start. Now he can't get out of the first.
Matt Boyd,
I'm sorry. This is a high pop-up off the bat of Ortiz. Donaldson makes the catch.
That's the thing about baseball. You just never know, right? You just go out there, you just play the games, and then leave it up to the front office to decide if they need another pitcher, if they need to trade for somebody, if they try and bring somebody else up through the farm system. I know Alex Anthopoulos said the other day they'd like to fill the void, if you will, from within. They'd like to bring somebody within the organization. They don't want to have to go outside the organization.
Says Hanley Ramirez, he homered in his first at bat. I think that would be the perfect scenario, at least initially, for any kind of short-term substitution in the rotation, but I think we're a ways from that just yet.
Sure. Now, what that does when you've got the short starts like we talked about, Marco can't get out of the third inning, now Matt Boyd here in the first inning, on top of the decisions that you have to make as a starter, you might have to make some decisions about your bullpen. Blue Jays go out on the road after tonight. They go to Detroit. That's a great hitting club. Chicago's always tough. And then Kansas City. You might have to reinforce the bullpen.
I think you'll see a pitcher tomorrow in Detroit. I think somebody will be called up to add to this bullpen just because of the work they've had to have this week. A couple of short starts in the homestand, and that'll really throw your bullpen into a mess. This is off the end of the bat. Bautista over to his left. Ramirez is retired, 2 down. Yeah, I think, and it's not really speculation, it's just common sense. You look at the bullpen and how they've had to use Redmond for 3 1/3. Bo Schulz for 2 1/3, and that was on Tuesday.
So they should be down for 2 days. So they should be green light for tomorrow. But you still have to. Liam Hendricks, how far does he go tonight? I mean, he's really not stretched out that he can give you 4 or 5 innings unless they're short, unless they're quick innings.
We're in the second inning. We're going to have more relief pitchers. You probably see 3 relief pitchers at least in this game. There's a fly ball to left field. Danny Valencia back. Ball is carrying all the way onto the warning track. But Hendricks has a clean inning in the second. 3 up, 3 down. Colabello, Martin, and Valencia will bat for the Blue Jays when we come back.
Canada return this year. 2015 stops include Abbotsford, BC, Okotoks, Alberta, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Victoria, BC, and Toronto, Ontario. Check out BlueJays.com/Baseball Academy. The Toronto Blue Jays are proud supporters of amateur baseball across Canada. But great job by Dwayne Ward and all the rest that contribute to those camps.
There's a lot of alumni that are really involved with it. Lloyd Mosby, Jesse Barfield, Devon White, Robbie Alomar. They really do a good job of coming in and supporting the clinics. Chris Colabello gets a base hit. Blue Jays get a base hit to start the second. To mention, Wade Miley's had a bit of a rough trip on the road lately. And overall for Miley, when you look at the games he has pitched away from Fenway Park, the numbers are pretty ugly.
Pretty high, a 560 earned run average, a 315 opponent's batting average. The whip is the one that really surprises me at 1.7. That's nearly 2 base runners an inning that he has to deal with. Some of the teams that he has pitched against on the road, at Tampa Bay, at Kansas City, Baltimore. And remember what happened in Baltimore. That was when he and John Farrell got into it on the bench in between one of those starts. Texas, Oakland, and then one of those games is against the Blue Jays right here.
Miley also started against the Blue Jays when he was pitching for Arizona. That was in 2013. In that game, he lasted an inning and 2/3, was charged with 5 earned runs on 8 hits. Rajay Davis with a 2-run home run that knocked him out in the second. (3-0). The Blue Jays went on to win that start in Arizona 10-4.
So all told, 7 2/3 innings in his career coming to this game. He's given up 9 runs against the Jays.
Martin taking all the way. It's 3-1. Ball 4. First 2 reach. Well, the Blue Jays do a great job against left-handed pitching, and that's who they're facing tonight in Wade Miley. And when you think about the Blue Jays against left-handed starters, they have really done a terrific job.
Well, 11-5 record, first of all, against left-handed starters. And that average right there, 306, that's number 1 in baseball. And they power the ball against the lefties. 865 on base plus their slugging. And get used to some of these lefties. They're going to see a few here between now and the All-Star game. They've got David Price in Detroit. They'll face 3 of them when they go to Chicago. And of course, Wade Miley here. We saw another lefty versus the Red Sox just a couple days ago.
Eduardo Rodriguez, the young left-hander. This is Danny Valencia. He's put up big numbers against lefty pitching this season. Valencia getting the start in left field against the left-handed pitchers. He's hit .380 for the season. Nobody out. You really got a keyhole in this situation if you're the Blue Jays. Just make Miley throw it over the heart of the plate before you really chase. Remember, the Blue Jays have scored more runs than anybody in baseball. Not close.
And they've done it, Buck, by taking what the pitcher gives you. They've been combining the base hits and the walks, and then they get one big swing and they're right back into the ball game.
I think these hitters have taken this game as a challenge. Okay, we're down 8-0. Let's see if we can come back. There's a deep drive to center. Mookie Betts back. He makes the catch. Colabella was halfway. He'll have to go back. Mookie Betts got turned around, but he's athletic enough to make the catch.
Oh, that ball was hit hard by Valencia. What a play by Betts. Remember, he just started playing center field last year. Hustles back, knows that he is not on the warning track just yet, reaches up, and the ball finds the glove. Watch how he just closes that glove and it stays in there, taking away extra bases from Valencia. That ball was stung.
Boy, he hit that ball hard, and Mookie Betts handled it. One down, Kevin Pillar. Pillar was named the Blue Jays Player of the Month for the month of June. Quite a rebound month for Pillar. For the month of June, he hit .365. That was 4th best in the American League. Had 4 doubles, 4 homers, and drove in 18. He also added 5 stolen bases. He entered the month batting .223. His average now at .276.
And on top of all that, plays a premium position in center field, plays great defense.
Inside, it's 1-2 to Pillar. Number 9 hitter Devin Travis is on deck. There's a little flare. That's going to drop for a base hit. They're going to stop Colabello at third base as Pillar. It's a 2-out base knock to right.
Plate coverage is such a big part of being a good hitter and being able to hit the ball the other way. Diaz was playing him shallow, so Pillar cannot get the base hit. But watch this plate coverage on a pitch down and away, just slashes at it. Hits it on one hop to Diaz. Again, he was playing shallow and was shading him towards the right field foul line. No chance to score the runner from second base, but a good piece of hit right there by Kevin Pillar.
Bases loaded for Devin Travis. There's a base hit to right on the first pitch. Runners are going to move up. Colabello comes in to score. The Blue Jays are on the board. Devin Travis, he's got that right field stroke down pat.
Yeah, you pitch him away like that, he steps into the ball, keeps that front shoulder closed, and he just sprays the ball the other way. Watch where this pitch is. Away, instead of trying to pull it, just the hands come forward. The barrel follows of the bat, and that's a clean single. One base at a time. That's what the Blue Jays are doing right now, keeping the pressure on that starting pitcher.
Carl Willis, the pitching coach, is out to talk to Wade Miley. Willis took over as the pitching coach on May 9th after the Red Sox fired Juan Nieves. So Willis delivers his message and heads back to the Sox dugout. Back to the top of the order. Going to find out what the Blue Jays are all made of tonight.
This is where we were on June the 12th, 8-1. After 3 innings in Fenway Park, Blue Jays came back to win that one.
Reyes pops up the first pitch. Infield fly rule is in effect, and Napoli misses it. The batter is out. The runners hold their ground. There's no force out, and that's exactly why that infield fly rule is put into play. So an infielder can intentionally drop that pop-up and then get a double, maybe a triple play on that.
Hang the runners out to dry on the bases. They can't go because the ball's in the air in less than 2 outs. Now Blue Jays need a 2-out hit.
Josh Donaldson hit a chopper out in front of home. He was thrown out by the catcher. His first time up. Blue Jays have scored a run here in the second. This is the thing that really impresses me about the meat of the order. Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. They don't chase.
No. Great run producers. They've got power. They produce runs because they have good at-bats. And that wasn't to his liking, and he took it.
Borderline pitch.
Yeah.
Less established hitters with that 2-0 count will swing at that pitch.
Established hitters say 2-0, you got to throw it exactly where I'm looking for it. That might be down and in.
3-1. Bautista walked his first time up.
Same thing right here. What is your strengths? If it's down and in, that's where you're looking for the ball right here. If he doesn't throw it there, take it. Ball 4.
Donaldson picks up an RBI, his 52nd with the bases loaded walk. That's the 3rd walk issued by Wade Miley after being staked to an 8-0 lead. I go back to the 3-2 curveball he threw to Bautista with 2 outs in the first.
Almost like protecting your run average instead of pitching to the scoreboard. Saying, okay, if I give up a home run, that's okay. I'm going to make you hit your way on.
Bautista, the owner of 4 career Grand Slams. He doesn't chase.
He's looking for something out over the plate.
Two and 0. Popped up out of play, back over the screen. Bautista's the 8th Blue Jay to bat here in the second. Colabello started it with a walk. He's come around to score. Colabello had a single. Martin walked right behind him.
The walks are great. The singles are great, but the Blue Jays need a big hit. Some kind of big hit.
Bouncing ball, base hit. Pilar's in to score. Here comes Travis right behind him, and Bautista delivers a 2-out, 2-run single. Here come the Blue Jays.
Fall behind good hitters. If you fall behind run producers, they're going to make you pay. He fell behind Jose Bautista 2-0. Now he's got to come to him with the bases loaded, and Bautista hits that cutter into a hole in the left field. That's going to play 2 more runs for the Blue Jays. It's now 8-4.
8-4 is manageable.
I agree with you. It looks like Miley is in a hurry instead of trying to slow the game down. It's almost like he wants to try to rush through this, and he's coming out of his delivery a little bit.
Edwin Encarnacion, the 9th Blue Jay to hit. They don't chase. Starting to loosen up.
Do you give him the green light here?
No. Ball 4. Another bases loaded walk. Excuse me. Donaldson moves to third. They scored 2 runs on the
and that'll load the bases up one more time and give Colabello another chance. He started this whole thing with a single to center field.
The Red Sox batted around in the first. Now the Blue Jays have done it here in the second. What did they say about the AL least?
You better bring your A game. That's what they're saying about it right now.
Colabello takes a strike. Colabello has hit .415 with runners in scoring position this year.
He has come up with a lot of big hits for the Blue Jays. Stay within yourself. Think about the middle of the field.
Changeup. It's a foul ball. Blue Jays have scored 4 runs here in the second. Bautista with a 2-run single now has 55 RBIs. Bases are loaded for Colabello. Ground ball. Sound of ball goes to second. That'll end the inning, but the Blue Jays are right back in it. They sent 10 men to the plate in the second. Jose Bautista comes up with a big hit. He drives in Chu with a base hit to left. It's 8-4 Boston, but a lot of baseball to be played.
favorite classics and must-see guests. You can catch them weeknights right here on Sportsnet or connect online 24/7 at Tim and Sid. Guys, if you have a chance to catch any of the Tim and Sid show, the set looks great. The show looks fantastic.
It sure does, Barry. I saw some of it yesterday. In fact, I saw the portion when Don Cherry called in on the phone, and Josh Donaldson was a guest today live on the show. So make sure you check it out, Tim and Sid, every weekday. Jose Bautista directing traffic in the outfield. He is certainly the captain in that outfield, despite the fact he's a right fielder. He knows the hitters. Mike Napoli, the seventh man in the Red Sox lineup. He fouls this one off Russell Martin's mask. This is the top of the third inning. There have been 12 runs on 13 hits.
Good day to be a pitcher. We'll keep our eyes on that bullpen for the Blue Jays. That'll give you an indication of what John Gibbons is thinking with Liam Hendricks, how far he can go with him. It'd be nice if they could get him through 5 innings.
Napoli reaches for it and pokes it right to the first baseman, Colabello. 1 down.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful evening in Toronto. Matt Boyd did not retire a batter in this start tonight, and disappointing outing for him. Danny Valencia moves over to his left, makes the catch.
Boston Red Sox do not swing many times at the first pitch, but that's a good thing for the Blue Jays. Quick innings. That means Liam Hendricks can keep going out there, giving the Blue Jays some innings.
Hendricks entered the ball game with nobody out in the first inning. There's another first pitch swing from Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan made the first out of the ball game when he popped out to the second baseman. He was the 9th batter to bat in the inning in the first out. Pretty good pitch. Didn't get the call from the veteran Jerry Davis. Came right back with the same pitch. Fastball bounced behind second. Nice play by Devin Travis. Good tag by Chris Colabello. The Red Sox want them to look at that replay. John Farrell is out of the dugout, and he says, hold on a minute. Hannigan went by Artie Baylor to say, hey, he didn't touch me. So the Red Sox are contemplating challenging the call on the field. John Farrell is outside the dugout waiting on his video room. Torey Lovullo is on the phone in communication to their video coordinator just to see if they want to challenge. Nope. The play will stand on the field. Good inning for Hendricks. 3 up, 3 down. Colabello came off the bag at first. Travis makes a good play. The throw is wide. Colabello puts the tag on Hannigan to end the inning. isn't a very competitive division at all. They're down in the East. And May 1st, you can see the standings. 3.5 games separate the Yankees from the Orioles. Then in June, 4.5 games, Red Sox slip to last place. How about the way the standings are now? The first 4 in the division separated by a game and a half. Boston trying to close ground on the front runners.
And all 4 of those teams, Baltimore, New York, Tampa Bay, Toronto, all have 42 wins this year, separated by a game. Today,
Russell Martin pops it up. Napoli makes the catch.
And the only division in baseball with 4 teams over 500. So everybody keeps talking about the American League East. I don't think so. If that's true, you'd have a dominant team and a bunch of bad teams. There's 4 pretty good teams in there right now.
Tampa Bay lost today. They were swept in a 4-game series at the hands of the Cleveland Indians. They lost 5-4 in 10 innings today. But they did get some good news in that game. Matt Moore returned to the rotation. The left-hander has been out over a year with Tommy John.
They got to face Corey Kluber today. He only had 14 strikeouts
in 8 innings. Tampa Bay nearly got no hit last night. Carlos Carrasco had 2 outs in the 9th when Joey Butler got an 0-2 base hit to right. Things haven't gone too well for the Rays hitters. Danny Salazar on Tuesday threw 7 2/3 innings of 2-hit ball. Monday, Cody Anderson took a perfect game late into the game. Danny Valencia hits it hard once again, but right to the third baseman. 2 up, 2 down here in the 3rd.
A play by Mookie Betts in the 2nd inning looms pretty huge right now for the Boston Red Sox and Wade Miley. You remember that ball in center field, a circus catch deep in center field was the first out of the inning.
See, Mookie Betts indicating how many outs there were. He got caught yesterday not remembering how many outs there were, and John Farrell wasn't too pleased about it. So he was helping out his teammates, saying there are 2 outs now. Make sure you know.
2nd time this week that it's happened to the Red Sox.
Jackie Bradley Jr. forgot how many outs there were on the final out of the game down in Tampa Bay. He caught the ball in right and fired it home, and the rest of the Red Sox were walking off the field. This is Kevin Pillar. He had a base hit and scored in his previous at bat. This time he pops it up. Brock Holt, the second baseman, makes the catch. Quick inning for Wade Miley. We go to the 4th, 8-4 Boston.
about winter. Yes, it's coming to Rogers Center. Join us as we turn the ballpark into a winter wonderland. Sunday, July 19th, it's the Blue Jays and the Rays at 1:07. It is snow day in July. The first 20,000 fans will receive a pair of these wonderful Blue Jays winter mittens. Go to BlueJays.com for more details. Buck, I promise I will save a pair of those for you.
Thank you very much, Barry. I appreciate it.
Don't use it for cooking.
No, I won't. I'll save them for shoveling snow. If it ever snows in Florida, I'll be prepared. We move to the fourth. Blue Jays have a new pitcher into the ballgame. Bo Schulz takes over after Liam Hendricks does a nice job over 3 innings.
Bo worked 2 days ago, the first game of this series, through an excellent 2 1/3 innings against the Boston Red Sox. Gave up just 1 hit and 1 strikeout. There are his numbers through 8 games this year. No record with a 126 earned run average.
Delivers a first pitch strike to Mookie Betts. Betts is already 2 for 2. He has scored a run and driven in a run. Boy, he's been hot over his last 19 games, hitting over 400. The appeal down to first base. No swing, said Tony Randazzo, the first base umpire.
He's got a lot of pre-movement in his swing as he gets ready. You get that bat going, but boy, he gets that thing moving quickly. And he can turn on a good fastball. That's the one thing you want to see when you see young kids come up to the big leagues. Can they hit a major league fastball? He can.
He gets a piece of that breaking ball. Betts has made quite a successful transition from a middle infielder to a center fielder. He played shortstop and second base until 2014. He actually came up to the Red Sox and made 14 starts at second. Filled in right field, made 21 starts in right, 28 in center. Bo Schulz has got good stuff.
Yep, that registered 96 miles an hour with some good tailing action on it, really going inside, and somehow Mookie Betts was able to get a piece of it. Betts, you mentioned, came up as a second base. Well, he wasn't going to play second base in Boston. They got an all-star there, so they had to find a position for him. What's wrong with the pitch?
Pretty good pitch right at the top of the zone, and Russell Martin indicating he thought it was a strike. Checking with the veteran umpire Jerry Davis. This is how you have a conversation with a veteran umpire. Look straight ahead toward the mound, and that was low enough to be a strike. Schultz makes sure that doesn't matter. He strikes out Mookie Betts, 1 down.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Lots of interesting articles in the Jays shop here at Rogers Center. They've got everybody covered. Men, women, children. And they've got something for you. This is Brock Holt. He's got a couple of hits. John Farrell gave Holt yesterday off. He felt like he'd been banged up pretty good, and he and Devin Travis had a collision at second base on a double play ball. They banged up their shins, and Brock Holt has been struggling a little bit at the plate. He's been playing a lot lately. As we mentioned earlier, he's played every inning of every game since June 5th until he got that day off yesterday.
You can get worn down, can't you, playing baseball?
Especially if you're not used to playing every day.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not a big guy, Brock Holt is not a real big guy, but he's a good player. He grinds out every at bat.
I think one thing too, you see his numbers for his last game, and that called for a day off according to his manager. 2-2. Gets a piece of it. That's a fair ball. Colabella will flip, and they got There's signals cross. Brock Holt hustles down the line as Schulz was covering the bag. Colabello looked like he was going to go to the bag, and then he saw that Holt was closing in on him quickly.
You know, if a first baseman can take the ball himself and eliminate that toss to the pitcher, because there's so many things that can go wrong, you got to take it yourself. I thought Colabello had an excellent chance of running that ball there and finishing off that play, but Holt, like I told you, he doesn't take any at bats off. He grinds out at bats, beats him to the bag, and will pick up his second infield hit of the night.
Third hit overall. He's 3 for 3 to start the game. This is Xander Bogaerts. He had an RBI single in the first. He's got another base hit. Jumps on that first pitch, rips it into center. Bogaerts with a pair of hits early on. The Red Sox managed 2 runs on 6 hits yesterday. So far, they have scored 8 runs on 11 hits, and we're in the 4th inning. Mark Burley really had them off balance all night, all afternoon yesterday. Burley went 7 innings, scattered 4 hits, allowed just 1 run.
You know, the thing about the Red Sox, they've got a lot of veteran hitters. Yes, we've talked about that. Good hitters, experienced hitters, guys who make adjustments. They don't strike out that much. They've only had one, that first one right there, Mookie Betts, to lead off this inning. They put the ball in play and they make you get him out.
They have the second fewest strikeouts in the American League coming in this game. They had 519 strikeouts. They just don't strike out. And they got a powerful team.
That's the impressive part about it. They'll hit their share of home runs and they'll hit their share of doubles. Got plenty of that, but that whiff percentage, strikeout percentage, is the second lowest.
Ortiz with a wild swing there. Took a shot on a 2-0 count. The Red Sox scored all their runs 8 in the first inning. Mo Schulz trying to put up a 0 here. Brock Holt picked the Blue Jays pocket right there with that shift on. He broke toward third base and pitch was inside.
Well, look where everybody's playing. They've got the shift. This is a secondary lead and then a delay steal. You shuffle off 3 big hops like that. The defense is so geared and on that hitter. When the ball crosses the plate, you take off and it's an easy stolen base.
Don't see that very often, a delay steal of third. But the shift played into that. And now Ortiz will take ball 4. That will load the bases.
Hanley Ramirez, his bat means a lot to this team. Like he got a breaking ball down and in. And put on a show the other day, batting practice, hitting balls in the 3rd deck and in the 4th deck. You see, he's just got tremendous power.
That was Tuesday when he first came back from Boston. He went to have his hand examined. Last Wednesday, he was hit while running the bases on his hand, and everything checked out all right from that first swing we saw tonight. He looks to be healthy. Ramirez has 6 career grand slams. His home run in the first, his 16th of the season. Schulz beat him with that fastball in a good spot.
97 that time. Ramirez has a quick bat too. You think you can get him inside with that fastball. He can turn on it. Right now Blue Jays need a ground ball right here. Get out of this inning. Get 2 for 1.
Brock Holt at third, Bogaerts at second, Ortiz at first. 0-2. struck him out. That high breaking ball, hard slider, and Ramirez strikes out.
It's up there, but you're right. It's a hard breaking ball. Looks like fastball out of his hand. Ramirez looked like he might have swung underneath that one, anticipating the ball breaking just a little bit more.
So Ramirez is 1 for 3. Bo Schulz now with 2 outs will face Pablo Sandoval. He hasn't been very productive with the bases loaded, just 156 for his career. Breaking ball popped in the air. Donaldson down the left side. And that ball is going to land on the warning track and bounce out of play.
Looked like Danny Valencia had a shot at catching that ball. It started drifting back towards the field of play. But it bounces into the stands for strike 2.
And Sandoval will have another opportunity. 0-2. He got a piece of it to stay alive.
That is a hard breaking ball right there. Hard breaking ball.
Schulz has earned the right to pitch in more meaningful situations. Obviously tonight all bets are off with the starter Matt Boyd not recording an out and to go to the pen early. What a job by Bo Schulz. He loads the bases with the walk to Ortiz and then strikes out Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval. He strikes out the side. Good sinking fastball. Sandoval chases. Bo Schulz puts up a 0.
Presented by the 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome to Rogers Center. It's a gorgeous evening, 20 degrees, and we've got quite an interesting ball game going on. It's 8-4 Boston. But the Blue Jays gave up 8 runs in the top of the first. They scored 4 in the bottom of the second, and they know now they're within striking distance.
Chip away time right here because you're within 4. Get that first runner on right here. Turn that lineup over. Get 1, 2.
Chris Colomello and Bo Schulz talking over that play where they got their wires crossed at first base. That cost him an infield hit to Brock Holt. The best first baseman on the Blue Jays, without question, is Justin Smoak. And he had a 2-home run game yesterday. I mean, he makes the whole team better when he's at first.
Tough league. 3 hits yesterday. Can't get in the game today.
How about Devin Travis starting things off? His second hit of the night. Devin is 2 for 2.
That's how you get it started right there. Get yourself into a fastball count. You're hitting 9th. They have to challenge you. Miley does. Devin Travis gets a fastball up. Belt tie out over the plate. And the first runner is on here in the 4th.
Jose Reyes. Miley's got a terrific pickoff move. Yeah, he's got one of the best in all of baseball.
Can't afford that right now.
No.
Just stay right at that bag. Let him hit. You're not going to be stealing. And you're probably not going to be hitting and running right now. So just stay by that bag and go 1 base at a time.
Yeah, there's no reason to put yourself in jeopardy there at first. Travis runs well enough to go first to third on a base hit. He doesn't have to get a huge lead. Reyes hits a one-hopper and Bogarts boots it. All hands are safe. Bogarts got in between whether to catch it on the line or play the short hop, and he booted it.
You know, we've seen that before on this turf. Sometimes the ball comes up, sometimes it stays down, and on Bogarts right there on that soft liner off the bat of Reyes, that ball didn't come up.
So Josh Donaldson will step to the plate. We look at the OPS leaders against left-handed pitching. Cruz, Chris Young of the Yankees, Miguel Cabrera, then Josh Donaldson just ahead of Mike Trout. These are the big bats that do all the damage against left-handed pitching. Nobody out, 2 aboard. For Bogarts, that's his 5th error of the season. And that has put Wade Miley in a tough spot.
Yeah, now the Blue Jays have to take advantage of it. They've been doing it all season long. Taking advantage of mistakes by the opposition, or if that pitcher starts walking batters.
Donaldson with a 1-1 count. Miley took too much time to Donaldson's liking. Josh has hit 14 home runs here at Rogers Center. Reaches for that off-speed pitch and pops it into the seats. Ryan Hannigan decides to go out to talk about this next pitch. Obviously a very important pitch with a 1-2 count. I mean, this is a tough part of the Blue Jays lineup to work your way through. Last time Miley faced Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion, he walked Donaldson, gave up a 2-run single to Bautista, and walked Encarnacion.
Kind of get the feeling that he's going to try and stay away from Josh just by the way the outfield's playing. Look where the center fielder and the right fielder are playing.
Ground ball. This could be 2. Bogarts to second for 1. Back to first. It is a double play. So Xander Bogaerts gets another opportunity after committing the error and made quick work for the grounder. So Travis moves to third base, but now there are 2 outs.
A breaking ball. You can see it's a changeup from Miley, and this is what you want when you get a changeup. You want that hitter a little bit out in front. It's called rolling over on the ball. And Donaldson just rolled over on that changeup and hit it on the ground for a double play.
Jose Bautista drove in 2 in his last at bat. You want to know how far he has come? He now leads the American League in RBIs. He has passed Mark Teixeira. Bautista has 55 ribbies.
Well, you were talking about all-star selection. There you go.
Fans, you're running out of time to vote for the Blue Jays All-Stars. Jose Bautista at the start of the day was 4th in the outfield voting. 3 hours and 20 minutes left. You can push him into a starter's role by getting online and making a nationwide effort to vote Bautista into that starting spot. 3-0. Encarnacion would be next if Bautista can reach. Ball 4. Bautista's on base once again. He's been on base all 3 times he's come to the plate. We want to make sure you know how to log on and cast your votes for the Blue Jays All-Stars. Vote at BlueJays.com. The voting ends tonight at 11:59 Eastern Time. Cincinnati, Ohio. That's the side of the All-Star game, July 14th. But get online, vote for Bautista, vote for Donaldson, vote for Russell Martin, send them to the All-Star game, and you're running out of time. Encarnacion takes one inside. Edwin fouls it straight back.
Yeah, he was sitting on a high fastball, and he got the high fastball.
Miley has walked a season high 5. And I got to go back to that first inning. He threw Bautista a 3-2 curveball with 2 outs, staked to an 8-0 lead, and walked Bautista.
What'd that tell you? He didn't want to challenge him.
I don't know. It's really an odd pitch in that situation. 1-1. Boy, what a good eye. You know, everybody in this Blue Jays lineup wants to get back into this game, and sometimes you'll expand your zone, but they are so disciplined.
Yeah, you won't free swing your way back into it. You're going to do it by having good at bats. And here's another one put up by Encarnacion.
Chris Colabello is 1 for 2. Another walk. That's 6 walks now issued by Miley. And the Red Sox bullpen is going to go to work once again. John Farrell gets on the phone, makes the call, as Carl Willis goes to the mound, the pitching coach.
I got the feeling that Miley just didn't want to pitch to Bautista and Encarnacion. I mean, he's throwing breaking balls on the first pitch. Just seemed to be very careful that he didn't make a mistake, and it was almost like say, well, you know what, I'll walk him. I'm not going to get hurt.
That's what it looked like.
It did, didn't it?
Yep. He didn't throw anything close. Bautista's walked twice. Encarnacion's walked twice. Donaldson has 1 walk, as does Russell Martin. Miley has walked 7 for his career high. That came back in 2013. He's 1 away. Labella with a mighty cut on a changeup. Labella hit into a fielder's choice to end the second with the bases loaded. Bautista had a big hit in the second to drive in Chu. Base hit right here to get the Blue Jays squarely back into this game.
Yep, absolutely. Extra base hit. Might score 3.
Another changeup. Colabello taps it foul. Blue Jays had a leadoff single from Travis, and air committed by the shortstop, but then they got the double play off the bat of Donaldson. And back-to-back 2-out walks to Bautista and Encarnacion. Lots of confusion here with Miley and Hannigan having a difficult time getting their heads together. It's the first time Hannigan has been back since early May. Labella strikes out. The Blue Jays will leave the bases loaded once again. They just haven't been able to cash in with the bases loaded. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn.
Starting tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern on Sportsnet 1. Buck, you ever buck a bronco?
No, I haven't, but I've been to plenty of rodeos, and there's none better than the Calgary Stampede, so make sure you check it out. I mean, great opportunity to pick up one of the great sporting events of all time.
I tried doing that one time.
Did you?
Yeah.
On the mechanical bull?
There you go. You knew exactly where I was going with that, in Arizona.
Mike Napoli takes a first pitch strike from Bo Schulz. Schulz left the bases loaded in the fourth. He struck out the side. It took him 26 pitches. Napoli reaches for that and hits it foul. Mike Napoli for the season batting 198. And this is one of the big mysteries of the Red Sox season. Napoli on the road hitting 163. It's a high breaking ball. Tough bounce for Donaldson. He makes a good play. That bounce took him back. He had to back up quickly and caught it about chest high.
You have to have quick feet and quick hands to play third base, especially on the turf here. Josh Donaldson backed up on that one and then set his feet and got it all set and made a strong throw.
That's what you call a game face.
Yeah. Look at the quick feet. Change of direction. Move. Take your time. Get your feet set and make a good throw. The Blue Jays have been blessed with some good third basemen over the years, haven't they?
Well, you go back and think of Kelly Gruber and Ed Sprague, Troy Gloss, Scott Rowland.
Scott Rowland might have been the finest third baseman I've ever seen play. Great hands, great feet. And I say great feet because you have to have quick feet because they're going to get you into fielding position to make those plays.
Donaldson had a chance to work with Scott Rowland in spring training. Rowland came down and worked with Donaldson and Mitch Ney, a young third baseman. Josh was quite impressed with the effort Rowland made to come down there and give him some finer tips. I watched them work out. It was really interesting. They took 5 ground balls in a row, and they would take them at rapid succession to emphasize using your feet. Schulz used that good slider again.
Scott was only here for a couple of years, wasn't he? That is exemplary to come down and give your time to a good player like Donaldson.
Choo-choo pitch. Foul tip into the glove of Russell Martin. That's a 4th strikeout for Schulz.
Reaches back with a little something extra right there. You can see that ball spinning. Looked like a breaking ball. Diaz, another hot hitter, comes up empty. Good play by Martin to hold on to that one. Probably going to be Bo's last inning right here. He's up to 35 pitches.
Schulz threw 31 pitches in his outing on Tuesday. Tad Redmond, he also pitched on Tuesday. Redmond pitched 3 1/3, and he threw 45 pitches, so he's cranking it up behind Bo Schulz. Ground ball to Hopper to Reyes. In the dirt, right past Colabello. The catcher was running. Reyes took his time and threw it in the dirt. That'll turn the lineup over and bring the red-hot Mookie Betts to the plate with 2 outs.
And keep the inning going one more time. To Hopper right there. Reyes takes his time. Spins it right into the dirt. Colabello cannot come up with it. Schulz thinks he's out of the inning, and now he's got to go back out there and crank it back up.
So for Reyes, that's his 6th error of the season. And it turns the lineup over. Mookie Betts is 2 for 3 already. There's a drive down the right side. You know, we talk about pitch counts and how many innings a guy can go and whether or not he should throw more than 100 pitches. On July 2nd, 1963, 25-year-old Juan Marichal and Warren Spahn both pitched 16 innings in a 1-0 game. Times have changed,
Times have changed. Warren Spahn, how old was Warren Spahn in 1963?
I think he was about 38. That's bounced foul.
They both pitched 16 innings, and it was a 1-0 walk-off.
Willie Mays hit a home run in the bottom of the 16th at Candlestick. At the time, That would push Spahn's record to 11-4. Marichal improved to 13-3, and Juan would go on and win 25 games in 63. How about 25-8, 33 decisions? The game has changed.
16 innings. Both pitchers threw all 16 innings.
Yeah, they kept going to Spahn in the 13th, 14th. He said, I'm not coming out till that kid comes out.
And he didn't.
He never came out.
Was that the game where they threw like 200 pitches each?
Oh, they threw more than that. Yeah, it was an epic game for sure. Bautista over to his right, battling the lights, makes a nice catch. Bautista leads the American League in RBIs. He's one of the best right fielders in the game. He takes a hit away from Mookie Betts. Bo Schulz out of the inning. He puts up another 0. Bautista knows this park well and plays it off to the side to end the inning.
Zone. Tonight we have special guests of TD who received an in-stadium seat upgrade. Meanwhile, over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse, we welcome guests from Sick Kids Hospital right here in Toronto. Always great to see the kids getting a chance to come out and see a ball game. Buck?
Absolutely. Welcome to the ballpark. I hope you're enjoying this ball game. We move to the bottom of the 5th. It's 8-4 Boston. Russell Martin, Danny Valencia, and Kevin Pillar against Wade Miley. Miley comes right after Russell Martin. Martin has walked and popped out. I went back and did a little more research on the Marichal Spahn game. It was 50 years ago today. Marichal ended up throwing 227 pitches and Spahn threw 201.
That's unbelievable. And of course, Spahn was a little older than we thought.
He was 42. Yeah,
he was 42 years old.
Well, he only went 15 1/3. Mays hit the home run with 1 out.
So he only threw 201 pitches that day.
Mark Burley's got 6 more years of his career
to do it there.
Ground ball, Sandoval backhands, takes his time, and safe at first is Russell Martin. Sandoval had a little trouble getting a good grip on that baseball. He gloved it, and he just couldn't come up with it cleanly in his glove. Torey Lovello once again checking with the video room whether or not to challenge the call on the field.
Just took a little too much time. You can see he gets to it, and now he is deep at third base. Comes up, you can see that extra little hop, crow hop, as he tries to find the handle on that ball, and it's a long throw from deep at third base. That is going to be real close, and they're going to take a look at this one.
Yep, they have asked to challenge the call on the field. Sandoval, looks like the throw may have beat Russell Martin. Jerry Davis on the right is the crew chief. Tony Randazzo made the call. Good stretch by Mike Napoli as he stretched right toward that throw and cut down the distance.
You know, it helped out. It's a low throw. Look at the stretch by Napoli. The low throw like that, you're able to get down and get close to the ground. It was a low throw. It looks like Russell Martin might be called out. Good play by Sandoval. A good strong throw and a good stretch by Napoli.
Sandoval never panicked, even though he couldn't get a good grip on the baseball initially. He was able to get a strong throw off, and Napoli with the good stretch at first.
You know, if that ball, the throw is high, Napoli can't stretch as far because he's got to, instead of stretching out, he's got to stretch up for the ball. That low throw might have helped him get the out.
Indeed, Jerry Davis puts up the fist, and the call on the field is overturned. Martin is out 5-3. So John Farrell wins the challenge. 1 out for Danny Valencia. Miley drops that curveball in there to get ahead. Misses with the second hook. Changeup finds the outside corner. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Danny Valencia.
Been going more to that changeup here the last couple of innings against the Blue Jays, trying to get them out in front. Got the double play grounder from Josh Donaldson last inning. There's another one. He struck out Colabello on a changeup. Using it a little bit more against those right-handed hitters.
Walks Valencia. Another walk issued by Wade Miley. That ties his career high. 7 walks in this game. He's pitching with 1 out in the 5th. Blue Jays, they can erase any deficit. We've seen that before. Right here at Rogers Center, over their last 21 games, they've hit nearly .290, scoring 6.2 runs a game, and he pounded out 35 home runs in 21 games.
The impressive stat on that list that we just showed right there, 333 with runners in scoring position. I think that's what it's going to take tonight for the Blue Jays. They're going to have to come up with some big hit. They've already left 7 runners on base tonight.
Pilar takes it inside strike. Ground ball, base hit past Sandoval. Pilar has 2 hits. They just keep coming at you, the Blue Jays, now with 6 hits.
That great play by Sandoval and Napoli to start the inning looms even larger, just like the catch by Mookie Betts in the second when the Blue Jays scored 4 runs. You can see Sandoval, he stays down real low when that pitch is going to be made. His first move is to stand up, so you're actually a little slower that way.
Devin Travis is 2 for 2. Swings and misses at the first pitch. base hit for Travis. Here comes Valencia. Mookie Betts with the throw. He's out. Jerry Davis, the home plate umpire, called Valencia out. Reyes was standing right there at home plate and said, man, he didn't tag him. But Ryan Hannigan put the tag on Valencia. Mookie Betts with a terrific throw. It's his 6th assist. And John Gibbons is going to go back and check with DeMarlo Hale whether or not they want to look at him, and indeed they will.
It looked like you can see Hannigan flip that leg out there and trying to make Valencia to go around the dish. I don't know if Danny ever got to the plate, or did he?
Looked like he swiped home plate. Hannigan never touched him.
Never tagged him.
That's why Miley came in and encouraged Hannigan to touch him.
I thought you weren't allowed to put your foot over there if you didn't have the ball.
Well, the crowd reacting to the replay on the Jumbotron as there is no contact whatsoever by Hannigan and Valencia.
No, not at all. The hand looked like it just scraped the point of home plate. You see Luis Rivera in the background clapping like that run scored. He thought for sure that run scored.
Miley knew that Hannigan hadn't tagged Valencia. And watch his hand. Does it get home plate? Right. Well, it looks like it does from that angle.
Right on the tip of home plate. It looked like he crossed it. You know, when Miley said he never tagged him, go back and tag him, he did. The home plate umpire made no gesture.
He already called him out.
He had already called him out. So that tells me that he's calling him out because he tagged him, not because he missed him.
Boy, that's a great point. Again, there's no tag at all. And the umpire, Jerry Davis, calls Valencia out.
That right there, boom, he made the tag right there. Didn't say he missed the plate, anything. Miley said, tag him.
Tag him.
So he went back and tagged him, and the umpire said nothing. I already called him out. So I assume he's saying because he tagged him. Put on that replay, never tagged him.
So this is the second challenge of the inning. And we told you there's a lot of weird things going on tonight, and this has taken a long time back in New York. Valencia sure looked like he swiped his hand across home plate. And there's no question that Hannigan never tagged him.
Yeah, this shot right here shows that he clearly, without a doubt, never touched it. He touched his own foot before he touched Valencia. And the umpire banged him out. I don't know what he was basing that on.
Can't really see Valencia's hand as it passes home plate. It was blocked out by the catcher, Hannigan. But the time in which this umpire review is taking suggests that it's really tough. Now they have a decision.
Wow. Wow.
And now John Gibbons, he is going to come out of the dugout.
I think he's owed an explanation right here. All right, tell me what you saw. Tell me what they said, because he never tagged him.
Gibbons can be arguing about the path to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
But then Jerry Davis can say, well, he had the ball and he moved to block the plate. But he's supposed to have a lane to slide to. Gibbons might get tossed right here. And there he goes. And you can understand why Gibbons is upset, because there was no tag whatsoever. And the umpire, Jerry Davis, had called him out, indicating there was a tag.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way that he could call it, right? He can't say he's out, but I don't know if he hit the plate. He called him out because he must have seen a tag on the play. The replay showed that he didn't tag him. And it looked like, at least from the Blue Jays standpoint, that he clipped the point of home plate with his hand. So that one's a mystery to me.
So Mookie Betts will pick up his 6th outfield assist as Valencia is thrown out at the plate. And it didn't look like he was ever out. Back to the top of the order. 2 aboard, 2 outs. Frustrating play for John Gibbons, to be sure. Cost him a run.
I can't wait to hear the explanation on that one. Because he clearly missed it, and if he says, well, he tagged him, clearly he didn't, did he?
No, he never tagged him.
No.
That's never a question. Reyes strikes out. The inning is over. The Blue Jays threaten but can't cash in. Tough call at home plate cost the Blue Jays a run. Wade Miley is through 5. Danny Valencia slides around the tag, may have swiped home plate with his left hand, but Jerry Davis called him out. Naturup, who cleaned up the infield, Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products. They always do a great job, and they've got the infield set for the top of the 6th. New pitcher into the game for the Blue Jays is the lefty Aaron Loup.
There are Aaron's numbers. 37th appearance this season for Loup. 2-4, 5.10 earned run average. He's only walked 4 batters. And Loup, he can throw multiple innings. I think that's what they're looking for right here. You got the left-hander Holt. You got the left-hander Ortiz. Well, the Blue Jays need to throw up another 0.
Well, the bullpen has done a terrific job. The Red Sox scored all their runs in the first inning. Liam Hendricks, Bo Schultz, and now Aaron Loup out of the Blue Jays bullpen. Brock Holt is 3 for 3 already. Wade Miley has made it through 5 innings, but it's been a battle. Miley has tied his career high by walking 7.
The defense of the Boston Red Sox should get a nice little start tonight, helping him out. You got the play by Sandoval, the leadoff last inning in Napoli. And then the play by Betts in center field on the Danny Valencia bullet with a couple of runners on, and then Mookie Betts throws out a runner at the plate. For me, all game-changing plays right now because there are runners on base.
2-2 pitch. Holt strikes out. 1 down.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
1 out in the top of the 6th. We've just been informed that the challenge process in New York determined there was not enough information in the review to overturn the call on the field. But clearly you could see that there was no tag, and I think the one thing that was missing may have been the fact that Valencia didn't clearly touch home plate.
May or may not have touched the plate. It looked like he might have got the point of it. But good play by Betts.
But it all goes back to the home plate umpire calling Valencia out because of the tag.
And if there was no tag,
you would think they would have enough information to reverse the call. 2-1, 1 out. Bogaerts rips it down the left field line. Valencia gets over, cuts it off, and hustles it back in quickly to keep Bogaerts at first.
He might have hurt himself.
His helmet came off as he was diving back into the base, and it slammed up against his face. He got a big turn and had to hustle back and dive in, and now he's flexing his shoulder.
Got to stop on this turf and then hustle back. Watch the right shoulder. Yeah, he just couldn't extend it. It got caught underneath him right in the dirt, and it snapped back.
And then his helmet hit the dirt and popped off. That was a very awkward slide back into first base. That right shoulder gets twisted back behind him. He's fortunate that he didn't injure himself on this slide. He went a long way around first base. Luke gets ahead of Ortiz with a strike. Bogaerts has 3 hits tonight. Brock has 3 hits. The Red Sox as a team have 12. One and two to David Ortiz, the DH.
I'll tell you, it's been a heck of a game already. There is a lot has happened through the first 5 innings of this game.
A lot of action, that's for sure. Ground ball. Travis will bobble it, pick it up, and get Ortiz at first. He was trying to rush and get the lead runner. He could see Bogaerts right in front of him. But once he booted it, all he could do was get Ortiz at first.
He had a long way to come to get this slow roller. He was thinking about shoveling over to the shortstop at that time, Donaldson. And in his haste, dropped the baseball and still was able to get the out over at first base. Bogaerts moves up.
So Martin checks in with Aaron Loop with a base runner at second to make sure they're on the right page. They got an opportunity to put Hanley Ramirez on base here with first base open.
I'd just go ahead and just walk him. I wouldn't even take chances. Pitch to the left-handed hitting Sandoval.
Sandoval hasn't hit much against lefties all season long.
You know, you can't afford to give up any more runs. You've already given up 8 runs. You can't afford to give up any more. If you're going to unintentionally or walk him, pitch around him, just put him on base. Take your chances with the left-handed hitter.
There's an inside strike. Ramirez has hit .299 against left-handed pitching. Hanley homered in the first inning, part of back-to-back home runs by Ortiz and Hanley Ramirez. Ball and a strike, 2 outs. Another pitch inside. Liam Hendricks went 3 innings of relief. He allowed a run on 3 hits. Bo Schulz had 2 innings. He allowed no runs on 2 hits and struck out 4. Foul ball.
One more time, you can see Donaldson is playing him the pull, and that is clearly foul.
Lexi Ogando is loosening up. Wade Miley has thrown 103 pitches through 5 innings. Strike 3 called. Loop gets Hanley Ramirez. Aaron Loop strikes out a pair. Bogarts singles. He's stranded at second. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. The Blue Jays are down by 4.
The Rays at 107. Join us pregame outside Gate 10 for inflatables, activities, and lots of fun. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Go to BlueJays.com for more details. Buck?
Junior J Saturday is always a very popular event. Lots of kids come out, good crowd on hand, and it's always an exciting atmosphere on Junior J's Saturdays. So put it in your calendar. July 18th, Tampa Bay's in town. Lexi Ogando will take over in the 6th.
We saw Ogando on Monday. He was the bridge, if you will, to get to the back end of that bullpen. 33 games. He's 2-0 with a 288 earned run average. He faced 4 Blue Jays. Got all 4 of them out to pick up his 7th hold of the season.
It was Ogando for an inning in the 3rd and Uehara for a perfect inning on Tuesday. 0-2 to Josh Donaldson. It's Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion here in the 6th. Popped into the air in right. De Aza comes in. Donaldson is retired on the fly ball to right. I want to remind you to log online at BlueJays.com and cast your votes for Jose Bautista, Josh Donaldson, Russell Martin. You're running out of time. The voting ends tonight. Bautista has taken over the lead in the American League for RBIs. He has 2 tonight, 55.
And he's closing in on a starting spot for the American League.
To start of game today, he was 4th in the voting, so make sure you push Bautista into that 3rd spot and give him a starting berth in the All-Star game. Bautista's been on base all 3 times tonight. He's walked twice and had a 2-run single. Jose has 60 walks for the season.
I don't care how hard you throw. Jose Bautista can get the barrel of the bat around. Ogando's got a great arm. It's nice and loose. It throws 95, 96 miles an hour with a very good slider. That fastball, Bautista was right on it.
Bautista asked Jerry Davis to take a look at the baseball. One and 2 now. Ogando on in relief here in the 6th. Oh, that was a defensive swing. That breaking ball backed up inside on Bautista. It was hard at 87 miles an hour, and it came up and in.
And he's swinging right away. You can see the slider. He just doesn't pull it down enough. Bautista tries to check a swing and then finishes a swing in a defensive move. Watch this. Goes after it. And it's a foul ball.
Deep drive to center. Mookie Betts is back. He's got room on the edge of the warning track, and Bautista flies out to deep center field. Ogando left a couple breaking balls on the inner part of the plate. Again, Mookie Betts reminding himself how many outs there are. 2 outs for Edwin Encarnacion. Edwin has walked twice tonight. The Blue Jays have stranded 9 base runners. Ball 2. Three and 0. Chris Colabello is on deck if Encarnacion can reach. Blue Jays have gone deep into their bullpen tonight. Steve Delabar appears to be ready to come into the game. Matt Boyd, the starter, did not get an out tonight. That's ball 4. That's 8 walks the Blue Jays have been issued tonight.
They just have not been able to take advantage of it to this point. They've had their share of base runners, only 1 inning where the Boston Red Sox have been able to retire the Blue Jays in order. Every other inning they've had a base runner.
Third inning, Wade Miley retired Martin, Valencia, and Pilar in order. That's the only inning the Blue Jays haven't had a base runner. Chris Colabello has stranded 6 tonight. He's had the bases loaded twice. First pitch fastball is in there for a strike. Strike 2.
Eating them up. Wade Miley threw changeups to get out of that bases loaded jam a couple of innings ago with Colabello. Different type of pitcher here in Oquendo. Lots of heat. A fastball and a sharp slider.
Oquendo has made 48 career starts. He has gone back and forth between the rotation and the pin. Another fastball, then Colabello strikes out. Oquendo comes in, issues a 2-out walk, but then strikes out Colabello. We'll go to the 7-8 for Boston.
Take you beyond the game at Sportsnet. Follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram using hashtag Blue Jays. And guys, boy, oh boy, the Twitter feeds are filling up quickly with that play at home plate. And one question that keeps getting asked is, was Hannigan not blocking the plate on that play? And is that rule no longer being called by the umpires?
Now, the rule is being called there, and that indeed might have been why John Gibbons was ejected from the game. Because when you think about it, there are several things in question when you go to the challenge. First of all, did he tag him? And it was apparent that he didn't tag him. Secondly, did Valencia tag home plate? We never really got a definitive picture of that. But third, what about the catcher blocking the plate? Because he clearly stuck his leg out before he moved into a tagging position. And the definition of the play is you're supposed to give the base runner a lane in which to slide.
And that didn't happen. So Steve Delabar in 21 games has thrown 20 2/3 innings. And that ball is in the upper deck, but clearly foul down the right field line. Delabar has been throwing the ball much better. His fastball's command has been better. His splitter has been better.
Well, the Blue Jays are trying to spread out the workload. They went to the bullpen in the first inning. There's another base hit for Sandoval. He shoots it into right. Bautista plays it off the wall. Sandoval will stop at first base. Jose did a great job of getting it back quickly. Leadoff single. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Blue Jays are wrapping up their homestand. They are 3-3 to this point against Texas and Boston. They will move on to play the Tigers starting tomorrow. And they've got a difficult rotation to deal with. Anibal Sanchez, David Price, and Justin Verlander, the scheduled pitchers for the 3 games in Detroit.
That's who they get to face. Sanchez has been tough on him his whole career. Price, Verlander, we all know about them. We get Drew Hutchison tomorrow. He'll face Sanchez. R.A. Dickey versus David Price, and then Marco Estrada trying to rebound after his last start against Verlander.
That's a foul ball outside of the bag at third base. Well, we'll take a look at the rest of the schedule on this upcoming road trip as they wrap it up with the Red Sox here, then go to Detroit for 3 games. And then it's a 4-game series in Chicago before they wrap up the artificial first half of the season before the All-Star break, playing in Kansas City.
And as things stand now, they get that 4-game series in Chicago, so you say, okay, we'll see Chris Sale in one of those games. As it is now, he's scheduled to pitch the day before the Blue Jays get there, so they will miss him. And is there anybody hotter right now, pitching-wise, in baseball?
He's the best pitcher in baseball right now.
He was American League Pitcher of the Month, just voted this afternoon.
Max Scherzer and Chris Sale, the 2 pitchers of the month for their respective leagues. Steve Delabar was an All-Star in 2013. He got pitched in a game at Citi Field in New York.
And the way he's throwing the ball now, it looks like the Steve Delabar from 2013.
Yeah, he is throwing the ball very well.
You know, the one thing that we have seen that Delabar looks like this year as opposed to last year, he's throwing downhill for me. Last year it seemed like everything was up and away. He wasn't able to get out there and finish his pitches. But watch this one. He gets on top of it, and that's throwing downhill right there. Throws that fastball right by Mike Napoli.
That's a good example of a pitcher keeping his hand on top of the baseball and creating that downward plane. First strikeout for Delabar. Blue Jays have 7 strikeouts tonight. Schulz had 4 strikeouts in 2 innings. Luke struck out a pair in his inning of work, and Delabar gets his first strikeout. Ball gets away from Russell Martin. Sandoval slides into second ahead of the throw. Russell Martin might have taken that ball and dirt off his throwing hand. He seems kind of shake off the effects of that.
I think he absolutely did. It's a splitter in the dirt. Watch him. The ball bounce up his arm and then tries to still get that runner at second base just in case Pablo Sandoval took his time getting down to second.
Wow, pitch charge to Delabar. Now that eliminates the potential for a double play. Boy, that was a nasty, hard splitter in the dirt, and Sandoval moves to third now. That'll force the infield to come in.
Another splitter. Another ball right in the dirt. Spikes it. And no chance for Russell to even get his body over there and get something on it to try and keep it in front of him. So Sandoval will take a trip around the bases. And he stands at third.
There's the slider, and Diaz swings right through it. Delabar, that slider has been improved as well, and it all gets back to his arm angle and staying on top of the baseball.
Made a slight adjustment by keeping his arms raised a little bit higher, and it's really kept him on time better. The flow, I think, of his delivery is so much better.
Ground ball off Colabello into right. Sandoval will come in. Diaz is headed for second. Here's the throw, not in time. That ball skipped right past Chris Colabello at first. It's an air charge to Colabello.
Infield end, you can see, watch where this ball hits. Right off the dirt, and it comes up and through. They got the atom ball, if you will, the ball right at one of the infielders, but Colabello cannot come up with it. Another run scores.
9-4 Red Sox. Justin Smoke. We talk about his glove at first, one of the best in baseball, but he's not in the lineup tonight with the left-handers starting. The right-handers were loaded up against Wade Miley. Another ball buried in the dirt, and that ball bounces over the screen out of play. Delabar has really given Martin some tough pitches in the dirt. It's the third wild pitch this inning.
The field has to come in once again, and they will probably play this ball through. Now, with one out and you've got the leadoff hitter on deck, if there's a ground ball in the infield, they'll probably play it through.
Hannigan had to bail out in a hurry. That pitch was up and in. Delabar is having all sorts of trouble now after throwing the ball fairly well to start the inning. Hannigan will take ball 4. So that'll turn the lineup over one more time. Mookie Betts will come to the plate for his 5th plate appearance. Brett Cecil is throwing in the Blue Jays bullpen. One out. Mookie Betts 2 for 4 so far in this game.
He's got runners on base right there in scoring position. He's not taken. He's hacking away. He's played a heck of a game. He was robbed of a hit last time up on a fly ball. A nice play by Bautista in right field on both ends of the baseball, both sides of the ball. He's got a couple of hits. He scored a run. He's made a couple of really nice plays in the outfield.
And he's thrown out a runner at the plate. Got Danny Valencia at the plate to pick up his 6th outfield assist of the season. The Red Sox won the first 2 games of this series. 3-1 on Monday, 4-3 on Tuesday. And the Blue Jays had a laugher yesterday on Canada Day. They won 11-2. Ground ball that's going to sneak through the right side. Diaz comes in to score. Mookie Betts has his 3rd hit of the game.
You know, Blue Jays did something really interesting there. After it got the 2 strikes on Mookie Betts, they brought the infield, the middle infield in. Watch them. That's where they were double play depth. And now once it got to 2 strikes, look at them. Here they come. They're starting to come in, and now they're going to play the play at the plate. And when he hits the ball off the end of the bat, it just finds its way. It's not hit very hard. And Devin Travis, his angle is cut down, and he just cannot come up with that ball.
I don't think it would have made any difference. It was hit exactly in the right spot, even though it wasn't hit that sharply. I think Travis, the best he could have done was get an out at first.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking. He wouldn't have been able to turn 2, but he might have been able to make a play at first base and get it out. There's still only 1 out.
14 hits, 10 runs for the Red Sox. Brock Holt goes after that first pitch and lifts it down the left side. Long run for Donaldson and Valencia, and they won't get there. Brock Holt has 3 hits. He's had 2 4-hit games this season, including hitting for the cycle. Mookie Betts has his 6th 3-hit game of the season.
Boy, what a series for Betts. Homered in yesterday's game. Had a couple of hits in every game but yesterday's game.
He's had 8 hits in the 4 games. 0-2. Inside. Well, the Blue Jays are trying to save as many innings as possible out of their bullpen, but the problem has been they've each thrown a lot of pitches.
Yeah.
Liam Hendricks threw 36 pitches. Bo Schulz threw 42. Loop in 1 inning threw 19.
And Steve Delbar right here, that is pitch number 27. And he's only been able to get 1 out so far.
Jerry Davis reacting to the crowd cheering when he got a hit. George Poulos, the Blue Jays trainer, was the top step to come out and check with the veteran umpire. He got hit right on the top of that left shoulder. For Boston. A little foul back.
I know one way to save some of these pitchers. Maybe we'll see a everyday player come out and throw an inning for the Blue Jays.
Danny Valencia in left field. I'm not sure that any of the Blue Jays position players have pitched. I know Steve Tolleson pitched.
Yeah.
But Osuna, you just as soon not use him. He might be called upon to save a couple of games here Friday night, Saturday down in Detroit.
You can't. Brett Cecil threw in last night's game. It looks like he's going to pitch in tonight's game also. And then Todd Redmond, who's also pitched just a couple of days ago.
Redmond threw 45 pitches on Tuesday night. Back to Delabar. And he goes to first base. He forgot how many outs there were.
That's only 2.
Wow. They had a chance, and Reyes was standing in second base. Delabar forgot how many outs there were. He tossed to first, thinking that was the 3rd out of the inning.
Yeah, it looked like it because he turned like he was walking off the field, like that was going to be it. DeMarlo Hale is coming out, who is acting as the manager one more time, right back to the mound, 1 hop. Yeah, they clearly had a shot at second. Throws it over to first base for the 2nd out of the inning. And now Brett Cecil will come in.
Delabar threw 30 pitches in 2/3 of an inning, and not wanting to have his pitch count go any higher, they'll go to Brett Cecil, the lefty, to face Xander Bogaerts with 2 outs.
Rogers Ignite bundles. Find out how. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1 now. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Brett Cecil in to face Xander Bogaerts with runners at second and third and 2 outs. And Cecil delivers that first pitch curveball. Another curveball chopped toward third. Donaldson tried to barehand it. Bogaerts will have an infield hit. Hannigan comes in to score the 11th Red Sox run.
Do or die play right there for Josh Donaldson. He's got to play deep because of the left-hander on the mound and Bogaerts being a right-handed hitter. When he tapped it out in front of the plate, there was a lot of English on it. That last hop took a crazy hop. Even if he comes up with that, I don't think he makes the play. Watch this last hop. Watch it take a turn on him. And he will be credited with an infield hit. 15 hits now for the Boston Red Sox.
4 hits for Bogaerts. That's his third 4-hit game of the season. Ortiz got the scoring started. He had a 3-run home run in the first after Bogaerts had an RBI single. The Red Sox scored 8 runs on 9 hits in the first inning. They sent 12 men to the plate. Bounce foul by Ortiz. 1-2. There were 3 players in the major leagues who had 4-hit games yesterday. Reyes for the Blue Jays was 4 for 5. Neil Walker of the Pirates went 4 for 6. Robinson Cano of the Mariners went 4 for 5. Ortiz hits the grounder. Reyes at second. And the inning is over. The Red Sox scored 3 in the top of the 7th. They've blown it wide open. It's 11-4 Boston.
By Bacardi are back. Friday, July 17th, the Blue Jays host the Rays at 7:07. Get to the ballpark early for our pregame festival outside Gate 10. Gates will open at 4:30, and you can enjoy a performance by special guest Dean Brody in the licensed area. Go to BlueJays.com for more details. Buck, if Blue Jay fans are looking for a little something positive, the Tampa Bay Rays lost earlier today, and now the Texas Rangers leading the Baltimore Orioles 2-0 in the top of the 9th inning.
A ray of sunshine in an otherwise disappointing evening, that's for sure. Tampa Bay lost 5-4 to Cleveland. They were swept in the 4-game series. the hands of the Indians. Russell Martin, Danny Valencia, and Kevin Pillar. Alexi Ogando in his second inning of work. Upstairs, ball on the strike. The Blue Jays will face the Tigers for the first time this season when they go to Detroit. Roberto Osuna loosening up. Blue Jays have had to go to their bullpen as the starter didn't get it out. Russell Martin is called out on that nasty slider. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Scherzer loses just for the 6th time. He's 9-6 with a 182 earned run average. He didn't walk a batter and struck out 9. Atlanta got some good news as they got Manny Banuelos up to the big leagues for his major league debut. Former Yankee farmhand went 5 2/3. Allowed 2 hits, no runs, didn't walk a batter and struck out 7.
And then had the lead because of dehydration and cramping. That's the reports that I was seeing for that one, but pitched well. Hey, the Atlanta Braves have been getting a lot of other organizations' young pitching. That they might be a force in a year or two with all that young pitching that they have.
Shelby Miller leads the pack, of course, the young pitcher they acquired from the St. Louis Cardinals. Danny Valencia rips it to left field. Hanley Ramirez over to cut it off. He'll get it back in. Valencia will throw on the brakes. Danny Valencia has been swinging the bat well all night long.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
This is the 7th and final game of this homestand. It'll be the last home game before the All-Star break for the Blue Jays. Kevin Pillar has picked up 2 hits tonight. His average up to 280. Pillar has been a good hitter throughout his professional career. In the minor leagues for the Blue Jays, he put together a .322 career batting average.
Tell you, he's got a fan also with the Boston Red Sox. Brian Butterfield was telling me before the game, he loves the way he plays the game. Plays great defense. He's all out every single day. He's coming around as a hitter. 280 is really good.
Yeah.
It's very respectable.
His first opportunity to play every day. And you really got to tip your cap to Pillar after batting 181 in the month of May. He never lost his confidence. He never panicked. He just continued to work hard. And because of his efforts in June, he was named the Blue Jays Player of the Month for the month of June.
You know, you've got a track record of a player who did it in the minor leagues. And there's another hit. So you have to give him a chance to see if he can hit major league pitching. It's a whole different ballgame up here, but he's got the track record. He's got the success in the minor leagues, and it's not a 290, 300. It's 320s and some 330s. So you knew that there was a chance that there was a pretty good ball player in there. He just needed the opportunity.
Yeah, and when you talk to his minor league coaches and managers, they all talk about Pilar did something every day to help you win a game.
Every day. Do something. Either on the bases or with the glove, the bat.
Devin Travis has 3 hits. He's 3 for 3 tonight. Travis picked it up right where he left off. He was the American League Rookie Player of the Month in the month of April, and since his return from the disabled list, he's 8 for 19.
You know, and just before that trip to the disabled list, he wasn't the player that we saw in April. That shoulder was really bothering him, and he really wanted to try and continue to play. And here was his opportunity in the big leagues, and he had success in the month of April, and he had the chance after getting hit to try and do it, but he couldn't. He physically couldn't swing the bat. There was just nothing there. After getting hit on that wicket, one hopper off the bat of Brandon Moss in Cleveland.
Well, and another thing that happened that really impacted his season, he had to hit leadoff. Jose Reyes had to go on a disabled list, so they moved Travis into that leadoff spot, and he hit 179 in 20 games batting first. Just changed his approach.
Hitting the major leagues is tough enough. Trying to do it basically with one arm. Not going to happen. Got to get healthy.
Reyes back in the leadoff spot has really helped the Blue Jays score those runs as frequently as they have. This is the 3rd 3-hit game of Devin Travis's career. He's never had a 4-hit game. That's off the end of the bat. Little fly ball to center. Mookie Betts runs it down. Travis is retired for the first time tonight.
Looked like it might have fallen in there momentarily, but a nice recovery by Mookie Betts in center field. Broke bat initially, and then Frozen came in to record the out.
Jose Reyes, he reached on an error in the 4th. In yesterday's game, Reyes had 4 hits and scored 4 runs. And as a result, the Blue Jays won 11-2.
First time that he gets the hit from the left side tonight. Facing Wade Miley 4 times. Batting right-handed, he's 0 for 4.
Checked his swing on that high pitch. 1-1 to the Blue Jays shortstop. Alexi Ogando in relief of Wade Miley. Miley went 5 innings. He is the pitcher of record for Boston. Reyes strikes out. That ends the 7th inning. We'll go to the 8th inning. All Boston 11-4 over the Jays. Selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
David Ortiz has been doing this to the Toronto Blue Jays for a long, long time, hitting home runs. This is his 58th career home run against the Blue Jays. That's the most anyone has ever hit against them. This was in the first inning, a 3-run home run that got them going. 8 runs in the first inning, highlighted by the drive of the game by David Ortiz.
New pitcher into the game is Roberto Osuna. He's not pitched since Sunday. He pitched on Sunday and picked up his 2nd save against the Texas Rangers.
I'm sure the Blue Jays were hoping against hope not to have to throw Osuna in this ball game in a blowout. But they are running out of pitchers down in that bullpen, so Osuna is now the closer for the Blue Jays, and that's what it looks like. Will come in with his sterling record in numbers, and he will face Hanley Ramirez in the 8th inning.
This all goes back to the fact that the starter, Matt Boyd, could not record an out. Boyd faced 7 Red Sox. He gave up 6 straight hits and then walked the 7th man, Mike Napoli, and he was out of the game.
And with him in the ball game now, Osuna, you're hoping that it's a limited performance, just something to stay ready, if you will, maybe 15 pitches, because they might need him tomorrow in Detroit on the road.
Yeah, you got to believe that's the hope. Osuna pitched an inning and a third, a 4-out save on Sunday.
Such a valuable arm. So you got to figure it's one and done tonight, just 1 inning, and hopefully it's a quick inning for Osuna. Everybody in that bullpen has thrown except Todd Redmond tonight.
It's the 2nd time in this series that the starter has gone early, as Hanley Ramirez cuts on that high fastball. Marco Estrada started on Tuesday against Boston. He lasted just 2 1/3. Then they had to go deep into their pen with Redmond, Schulz, and Delabar. So that'll jam up a bullpen.
Made it even worse tonight. No outs. So now they had to get 9 innings from their bullpen.
So you would imagine that by the time the Blue Jays get to Detroit tomorrow, there'll be some reinforcements, and that's the challenge: is how do you get them onto the roster?
Yeah. If they're on the roster, if they have options, guys can go down and you can get some fresh arms here. Here's Todd Redmond. He's the only pitcher in the Blue Jays bullpen tonight to not throw in this ball game yet.
Little tapper back to the mound. Osuna takes his time. Ramirez is retired. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Once again, Giovanni Gallardo, a very good outing. He goes 6 innings, allows no runs on 2 hits, and he is not credited with the decision. Keela, the reliever, picks up his win. Chaz Rowe took the loss for the Orioles. Sandoval grounds out to second base. Osuna doing exactly what the Blue Jays had hoped.
Quick outs. So Baltimore leading the division. They lose. Tampa Bay, they have lost.
The Yankees are not playing as they were out on the West Coast. They will play the Rays on Friday night in New York. This is Mike Napoli. Chases that high fastball. Lines this one down the right side. That's going to get down for a base hit. Bautista will play it off the wall, and Napoli will jog into second base with a 2-out opposite field double. His 11th double of the season. His first hit of the night. The Red Sox 11 runs on 17 hits. They are one off their season high in hits. They had 18 hits against the Braves on the 16th of June. That's the game in which Brock Holt hit for the cycle. Their season high in runs scored. They scored 13 against the Royals in Kansas City on the 21st of June.
Yeah, look at where all those, the dates where all the hits and the big innings and the big runs. The month of June, the last 2 weeks, they've been really turning it on offensively. Playing much better.
John Farrell talked about the way the lineup is starting to drive the baseball, and they have done that tonight. They had a pair of home runs in the first. Alejandro De Aza, the batter, had a triple in the first. There's another base hit. Napoli is around third. He's going to score. De Aza will pick up another RBI, his third of the night, on his second hit. And it's 12-4 Boston.
Yeah, and this team, I'll tell you, they are nice and relaxed, loose. And when you've already had a couple of hits in the bank, you get up into that batter's box late in the ball game and you're just looking to have a great day. So Diaz has been on base 3 times. He scored a couple of runs.
Ryan Hannigan, the catcher, has had an interesting night. He made the first out in the first inning when he popped out to second base. He drives this one to right. Bautista backs up a few steps. That'll end the inning. Osuna throws 13 pitches to get out of the 8th inning, and we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 12-4 Boston. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zorn.
rebound from what's happened tonight. You can watch the game right here on Sportsnet, beginning with the pregame show at 6:30.
That'll be the beginning of that long road trip. Drew Hutchison will open up against Anibal Sanchez Friday night. Detroit Tigers and Blue Jays. Tough night tonight for the home squad. They fell behind 8-0 in the top of the first. Matt Barnes comes out of the bullpen to pitch the 8th inning.
Blue Jays have seen Matt Barnes. I saw him a couple of times in Boston, and they roughed him up. There are his numbers in 16 games this year. An ERA just under 5. He's only thrown 18 2/3 innings, and the right-handers are hitting .350 against him. A former high draft pick for the Red Sox.
Josh Donaldson, Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion. First pitch strike. Donaldson had a bases loaded walk in the second. He's 0 for 3 with that walk. Donaldson rips it into left field. That's Alejandro De Aza, who's moved from right field to left. Hanley Ramirez is out of the game. Donaldson with his first hit of the night.
Jackie Bradley Jr. is in right field. There's De Aza. He has shifted over to left field. Better defense now late in the ball game.
Jose Bautista officially 1 for 2 with a pair of walks. Ogando goes 2 innings, allows no runs on 2 hits, had a walk and struck out 3. Pop straight back over the screen into the upper deck. Bautista fights it off and drives it into left field. Donaldson stops at second. Bautista's second hit of the night. He's 2 for 3.
Mentioned that Barnes pitched against the Blue Jays in Fenway. His fastball running in on Bautista, and he's able to just muscle that ball and just fight it off and get it into the outfield. He only threw 2 innings in 2 appearances. Gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs, and just like that, the Blue Jays get the first 2 on here in the 8th against them.
Edwin Encarnacion, he's walked 3 times. He is officially 0 for 1. He's hit in 19 of the last 23 games coming into this game against Boston. It is 12-4 Red Sox. They scored 8 in the first. Blue Jays scored 4 runs in the second, and then the bullpens shut the offense off for a while until the 7th, when Boston scored 3 more, and they added a run in the top of the 8th.
You can see the quality of Barnes' stuff. He's got a good arm. He just hasn't been able to throw the ball where he needs to get outs. He's a young kid, just learning.
The Blue Jays 2 for 2 tonight. Coming into this game, they were hitting .474 against Barnes. They like that hard stuff.
There isn't a fastball that they don't like.
That's bounced foul on the fastball. Encarnacion strikes out on the high fastball. That's the first out, bottom of the 8th.
Let's change it up just a little bit. Encarnacion's a good low ball hitter, so let's try and go upstairs with 2 strikes. And he does, upper 90s fastball. Edwin's 0 for 2 tonight.
Chris Colabello is 1 for 4. He's had a couple of strikeouts. He has stranded 7 men on base. Blue Jays as a team have left 12. Bouncing ball. Drop to Bogarts, double play. That ends the 8th. Blue Jays will leave another base runner. They've stranded 13 for the game. Will go to the 9th. Boston with a 12-4 lead.
The Rogers Center. Blue Jays Acura Luxury Suites allow you to get some work done and check in a ball game. Our account executives will find the package that best suits your needs. Go to bluejays.com/luxury suites for more details. Guys, on a night like tonight, I imagine you could get a lot of business done with the game going as long as it has.
That's a good point, Perry. I'm sure there would be a lot of opportunities to discuss business. This has been a disappointing end to a homestand. Red Sox got 8 runs on 9 hits in the top of the first, and it's been downhill from there. Todd Redmond, the Blue Jays will empty their bullpen. All 7 relievers working in this game tonight. Mookie Betts has had a 3-hit game. He'll bat for a 6th time against Todd Redmond. Redmond worked in long relief on Tuesday. This is his 7th appearance.
3 1/3 innings. After Marco Estrada was knocked out in the 3rd inning, so holding Redmond back, trying to get through this one, so he will have to finish off the 9th.
Brett Cecil threw 6 pitches in his 3rd of an inning. Gave up a hit. Then Osuna came in, and Roberto Osuna threw 13 pitches. He had a very efficient inning of work. He was charged with a run on 2 hits.
Unofficially, looking at the stats right here of this game, there's been a lot of pitches thrown. Unofficially, I have the Blue Jays throwing 177 pitches already to start the 9th inning. On the other side, 148 for Boston.
Check swing roller to first. Colabella will step on the bag. Mookie Betts is retired.
Now, the reason we say that, we were talking earlier, 50 years ago today, it was the Juan Marichal Warren Spahn game. Each of them threw over 200 pitches by themselves in the game.
Marichal threw 227 pitches, working 16 innings. He was 25 years old. 42-year-old Warren Spahn threw 201 pitches. His last pitch left the ballpark. Willie Mays hit a walk-off home run.
I was reading a little story about that as we were talking about it earlier. After the 16th inning, Marichal, after the 15th, they had a reliever up, and Alvin Dark said, if you can't get through the 16th, we're going to take you out. Well, Marichal, at the end of the 16th inning, when he got the runner or the team out, he met Willie Mays over at first base. Remember, Mays used to have that habit of touching first base on his way back into the dugout, and he said, Willie, he's going to take me out. I can't come out of this game before the old man does. And Willie says, don't worry about it. I'm going to end it right here. And he homered.
What a great ball game. One of the best ever. Brock Holt rips it into right. Holt's 4th hit of the night. That's a new season high in hits for the Boston Red Sox. That's their 19th hit. The previous high came against Atlanta when Brock Holt hit for the cycle. 18 hits. We've set a new high for the season.
There it is right there. When you've got 3 hits in the bank already, like Brock Holt did when he came up right there, you're nice and relaxed, and you just know you're going to have a good game no matter what you do. So it's a lot easier to hit.
It's the 3rd time this season Holt has had 4 hits in a game. Xander Bogaerts, he has 4 hits already. He is 4 for 5. No Red Sox player has had 5 hits in a game this season. Oh, 0-2 to Bogaerts. Way outside.
5-hit games. Hasn't Escobar had 3 of them already this year? 3 5-hit games.
3 5-hit games.
We're not even to the All-Star break. And I thought that was a misprint when I kept seeing that Escobar picking up 5-hit games.
This ball is hit to center field. Pilar back at the track, at the wall, makes the catch with his back right up against the center field wall.
He plays the game hard. I don't care what the score is, what inning it is, he's going to give you an effort.
Well, he's been told his whole life he wasn't quite good enough to be a big leaguer, and he's never going to take an inning off, no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation is. There have been 11 5-hit games this season. Escobar has done it 3 times. And he's the only player with multiple 5-hit games. David Ortiz drives this to right. Bautista stays with it and makes the catch. Ortiz lines out to right. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. It's all Boston, 12-4.
No one is coming to its rescue. Its citizens must fight or die. Season 2 of The Strain begins July 12th at 10 o'clock Eastern and Pacific only on FX. Speaking of strain, guys, I think this bullpen is a little bit strained after tonight.
Well, they've all pitched tonight, that's one thing. And unfortunately, Matt Boyd, making his second big league start, couldn't get out of the first inning. He faced 7 men and didn't retire a batter. And it was downhill from there. Red Sox scored 8 runs on 9 hits in the first inning. Craig Breslow, the veteran left-hander, comes into the ball game to finish things off.
There are his numbers for Breslow. He's tied for 3rd on the staff in relief innings this season with those 28 innings. 354 earned run average in 22 games. That's the most innings against lefties. Devin Marrero has taken over at shortstop for Xander Bogaerts. Straight up. He'll get to play an inning here.
Russell Martin has gone the distance. He has walked, popped out, grounded out, and struck out. John Gibbons was ejected in the 5th inning after a review. Play on the field was challenged and the ruling on the field was upheld, and Jerry Davis, the home plate umpire who made the call, threw John out of the game in the 5th.
Very calmly threw him out.
We don't know whether it was in regards to the catcher blocking home plate, but that was certainly something that could have been in question. Eight Blue Jay pitchers worked here tonight. And the Red Sox touched them up for 12 runs on 19 hits.
I think there might be some player moves after the ball game today.
You would imagine. From my managerial experience, this is the time where general managers, assistant general managers are on the phone checking their AAA team, see who's pitched, see who's fresh, see who's available.
They'll make a call down there also. This happened early as Martin sends that ball.
That's deep and gone to left. For Martin, that's his 12th home run, leading off the bottom of the ninth. They mentioned Russell has hit well against Boston all season long. That's his 6th extra base hit and his 10th RBI against the Red Sox.
Had a game-winning homer against them at Fenway Park, and now it's a chance to add to his home run total. Looked like initially he was fooled on that changeup, but he stays back long enough, and he's able to hook that outside changeup right down the line. Watch him stay back just long enough. And it makes it over the fence for the home run. But what I was saying, Buck, when it happened early, when Matt Boyd got knocked out early, that's when you get on the phone, right, and say, hey, let's hold back some of the guys in AAA if they have a game tonight.
Yeah, you just pull those guys back just in case this game played out the way it has. Where they had to empty the bullpen, everybody pitching in the bullpen, and now they've got a stretch of games, no days off before the All-Star break. Danny Valencia puts a charge in, and Mookie Betts looking up, back-to-back home runs. Danny Valencia, he's swung the bat well all night long. Lefty, righty, it didn't make any difference, and that's his 5th home run.
Yeah, he was robbed of a hit while the Blue Jays were scoring 4 runs on 4 hits in the 2nd inning. A great play by Mookie Betts, or the Blue Jays would have had a few more runs. This time he hits it where no one can catch it. Deep to center field. That's the 5th time this season that the Blue Jays have gone back-to-back. Martin and Valencia start the 9th inning. Stays back and gets all of this one to dead center.
Kevin Pillar. Kevin's had a 3-hit game. For Valencia, we mentioned that's his 5th home run. For Russell Martin, that's his 12th. One more home run than he hit all season last year for the Pirates. Kevin Pillar hits it deep to center. Mookie Betts won't get it. It's off his glove. Kevin Pillar, a 4-hit night. Blue Jays 3 hits in a row, 2 homers and a double. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central, here's Ken Reed in Ivanka Osmak. Thank you very much, and that's all coming up right after this ball game. For Kevin Pillar, that's his first 4-hit game.
Had a great month in June, starting July off quite nicely.
Devin Travis, he's had 3 hits. Blue Jays have 14 hits for just 6 runs. They've left 13 on base. Devin Travis lines it to center. Mookie Betts lays out. Betts comes up throwing over to third. Pillar moves up. Devin Travis lined out to the center fielder.
Boy, that's another ball that looked like it had a chance to drop, but Betts makes a play. He's been doing it on both sides of the ball. We told you about the Valencia play. He's also thrown a runner out at the plate and then dives to get this one. Right off the bat, it looks like a single. It's going to fall. But he closes quickly and just picks it right off the turf.
Kevin Pillar moves up 90 feet back to the top of the order. Reyes goes after the first pitch, pops it to shallow center. Bogart's out and makes the over-the-shoulder catch.
Boy, what Marrero's been known as a defender, and he went out there and made a heck of a play. That looked like that ball was going to fall in also. But Delvin Marrero goes out there, makes the play for the second out of the inning.
Marrero took over for Bogarts here in the ninth.
Couple of nice defensive plays by the Boston Red Sox.
Mookie Betts, he made a nice play on that sinking liner, and then Marrero catches the pop-up. Josh Donaldson singled to start the 8th. That was against Matt Barnes. The Blue Jays won't see the Red Sox again until September. They'll play in Fenway the 7th, 8th, and 9th of September, and then the Red Sox come back here for a 3-game series the 18th, 19th, and 20th. Things could be a lot different by then.
Could be very interesting in the American League East in September.
Don't forget, while you're watching the ball game and on to Sportsnet Central, log on one more time to BlueJays.com and cast your votes for the Blue Jays for the All-Star game. A little bit more than an hour left for the opportunity to vote. Make sure that the worthy Blue Jays get their rightful spot. Jose Bautista, with 2 RBIs tonight, has taken over the lead in RBIs in the American League.
And he's close, Canada. Get him in there. Looks like Josh Donaldson has an outstanding chance of doing that. Now let's see if we can get Jose there.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Donaldson, gloved by Sandoval. That's the ball game. The Red Sox take the series 3-1, and they do it in dramatic fashion. 12 runs and a season high 19 hits for Boston.
Yeah, right from the beginning. 8 runs in the first inning, their biggest inning of the season, the most hits. And now the Blue Jays have to pack it up and head on the road trip. That'll take them all the way to the All-Star break.
Well, the Blue Jays will be in Detroit tomorrow to start a 3-game series. Sportsnet Central coming up, East Ontario and West on Pacific. More baseball. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night from Detroit.